But listen, if you'd have told me, if you'd have told someone coming into the season, listen, we're going to have all these contenders in the NFC. We're going to have the Niners who make the NFC title game. We're going to have the defending champion Eagles. We're going to have Dallas, with Dak having the best year of his career. And, who knows? This kid, Jordan Love, is going to come out of nowhere, and the Packers are going to go on, a little bit of a mini run here. That the Detroit Lions make the NFC title game? Like, that would have been, like, hard to believe coming into this season. And nobody would have predicted that. It just goes to show you how unpredictable the NFL season can. What's that? Oh, they did? Someone did pick him to go to the NFC title game? So someone's telling in my ear that somebody picked the Niners. I'm sorry, that the Lions get the NFC title game. That's impressive. We have the footage. We have the footage of them saying it? Oh, right now? Okay, let's see what we got.
Hold up.
And there's one team in particular, it's going to surprise you, but I think are a good draft away from not just being playoff contenders, but I'm talking legit Super Bowl, lift the Lombardi Trophy Super Bowl contenders. The Detroit Lions.
Hold up.
Heard me say at the beginning, I feel like if Detroit puts together a good draft, kind of like the Seahawks and the Jets did last year, and like the Seahawks are doing this year, man, they could be contenders in that NFC. As crazy as the NFC is, as all over the place as it is, I'm dead serious when I say, who's to say the Detroit Lions cannot be in the NFC Championship game? I'm dead serious.
Hold up.
Detroit's going to the NFC Championship game. That will be your matchup, Ryan Flowers.
Detroit. Wow.
I have been saying for months, and I will stick with it. The Detroit Lions will play in the NFC title game. Been saying that since the draft. I'm going to stick to it and be held to it. Well, what do you know? What do you know about it? How about those Detroit Lions? And I'm a Steelers fan who roots for Dak on the side in Dallas, but to see what those Detroit Lions did, led by Dan Campbell, the head coach, led by Jared Goff, the quarterback, more on the roster, because to me that's the focus a little later. But listen, it was a little bit of a rough and rocky finish to the season for Detroit. But in the end, what happened yesterday to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Dan Campbell, Oprah Winfrey, help me out here.
Kneecap.
Oh, the kneecaps were bitten for the last time this season in Detroit. Now we'll see if they're bitten beyond that in San Francisco or, dare I say, in Super Bowl 58 in Vegas. But this is such a great... I have no ties to Michigan, Detroit, the Lions. Well, the Lions sort of, because Hendon Hooker's there. It's my guy from Tennessee, go Vols. But in general, I don't have any ties to Detroit or Michigan or any of that. But this is that city with this football team. People talk about, Cleveland. Cleveland has some AFC title game appearances. Troy has one NFC title game appearance in the history of the Super Bowl era. One. Back in 1991 with Barry Sanders manning the ship. And they're back. Again, who could have seen it coming? I think I'm the only one outside of the city of Detroit that saw the Detroit Lions getting to the NFC title game. So needless to say, I'm feeling mighty fine about myself today. But to me, what the focus is that, listen, we've seen teams kind of come out of nowhere, go on runs, but for Detroit, it wasn't a, heat of the moment. Not heat of the moment. That's the wrong way to put it. It wasn't a situation where they just came out of nowhere, like Brock Purdy style. Brock Purdy comes to the NFL, we're like, dang, this kid's pretty good. More on Brock Purdy later. But for Detroit, it was a gradual, it was a process. It was the perfect definition of a build. You say, what about rebuild? What were they building from? They were disastrous for the vast majority of their history. They trade Matthew Stafford to the Los Angeles Rams. Obviously, goes on to win a Super Bowl that first season there. And we're thinking, coming into this season for Detroit, like, Lions are just the Lions. They're irrelevant. They're bad. They lose every year on Thanksgiving. Like, who cares about Detroit, right? Playing a dome. And then they hired Dan Campbell. And I listen, full disclosure, when that press conference happened, I'm like, yeah, that's, Lord, that's the answer. That's who they're turning to try and turn this thing around, huh? Ooh, I don't know about that. This kneecap and ankle biting, and I just feel sorry for Lions fans. And that first season, 3-13-1, competitive in a lot of their games, but just can't make the plays at the end of the season. Then 2022 rolls around. They're 1-6 actually, or what? Yeah, 1-6. And then they get rolling. They win 8 of their last 10 games. They almost make the playoffs. They knock the Packers out of the playoffs and end Aaron Rodgers' Green Bay career. This year, they end up going 12-5. They're in the NFC title game today. But how did they do that? How did they go from 3 wins to 9 wins to 12 wins and a conference title game berth? One name, 2 words. Brad Holmes, the general manager of this Detroit Lions football team. What he was able to do and slowly building up this football team through not just necessarily the free agent market or the trade market where they got Jared Goff from the Rams, or they signed C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who got an interception against Baker Mayfield after all the trash talk between those two during the week. The draft, I don't think you can ace a draft any more than they did. Let's take a look here. Let's look at the Detroit Lions draft over the last 3 years, okay? So 2021, they hit on 3 picks. Penei Sewell, their tackle, who is amazing, but oftentimes has been Pro Football Focus's highest rated offensive lineman. You got Amon-Ra St. Brown, who, had well over 1,000 yards receiving and is the most underrated receiver in football, their number 1 guy. And Derek Barnes. Derek Barnes taking 1 pick after St. Brown. Yeah, how's that draft pick worked out for the Lions? He got the game-ending interception off Baker Mayfield yesterday. 2022, they take Aiden Hutchinson 2nd overall in the draft. After the Jags weirdly took Trayvon Walker number 1. I still will never understand that. Didn't understand then, don't understand now. Aiden Hutchinson's a monster. I mean, how many times was he in the backfield getting pressure on Baker Mayfield yesterday and all season long? Then they draft Jamison Williams 10 picks later. Jamison Williams is their number 2 receiver, really a speed guy out of Alabama. Or you see Derek Barnes there. I apologize. This is Derek Barnes. That should say, if we could pull this up. Okay, that should say, hang on. That shouldn't say Derek Barnes. It should say another player's name. I apologize for the little snafu in the graphic there. But let's see. Who was it? Okay, no, it's nobody. Okay, so those were really the 2 hits. So that shouldn't say Derek Barnes there. But the point is, Derek Barnes drafted 2021 is not drafted in 2022, full disclosure. But then 2023, folks, they had a not 1, not 2, not 3, 4 draft picks. Jahmyr Gibbs, who's I loved out of Alabama and has been nothing short of awesome for them. Jack Campbell, a linebacker out of Iowa, who's been great. Sam Laporta, who is, the greatest rookie tight end we've ever seen by the numbers and is one of the best security blankets. I'm going to say right now, the man's going to be the next Travis Kelce. Brian Branch as well. Safety they took out of Alabama. They like their Alabama guys. I noticed that. I guess ties to Nick Saban somehow. They hit on all of these draft picks, which is a credit to their GM, Brad Holmes. It's a credit to their front office, which has nailed these picks. Also going and getting guys in free agency. Getting Cam Sutton, who Cam Sutton had a rough day yesterday. My guy out of Tennessee, go Vols. He was guarding Mike Evans. In Cam's defense, most guys struggle against Mike Evans. He's a phenomenal player. It is a future Hall of Famer. It was a slow build. It was a gradual build, and it's gotten them to this point in the NFC title game. And by the way, because of these draft picks, I'm going to say right now, I don't know if they're going to win the game. I honest to God have not made my prediction yet. I'm going to save that for Friday. I always do. But generally, though, I kind of have a good look on, or a good feel about where the game's going, where the direction of that game is going. Tell me the position group where the Niners, they might be better in some of them, where they're way better than Detroit. Only one I'd probably say is secondary. The Detroit secondary struggled a lot this season, but San Francisco's isn't crazy. I mean, Jordan Love had his moments against them, at those young Packers receivers. Quarterback, I'll talk about Purdy later. He showed me a lot. I'm taking Jared Goff. He's been to a Super Bowl. He's probably the best quarterback in football with a clean pocket outside of Joe Burrow. Running game, McCaffrey, but you have McCaffrey, obviously, who's amazing in San Francisco, but in Detroit, you have Gibbs, you have Montgomery, Thunder and Light, or really in that direction, Lightning and Thunder, so to speak. Receivers, well, you got Debo, you got Ayuk, you got Juwan Jennings, you got guys like that in San Francisco. Well, Detroit says, well, look at our guys. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Josh Reynolds, Jamison Williams. Offensive line, advantage Detroit by a mile. That's the best offensive line in the league. San Francisco's has an amazing left tackle. That's kind of it. Tight end, San Francisco, Kittle, but Laporta is Porter's coming, man. 2 Iowa guys, man. Iowa's tight end you. We've come to know that, especially with Hawkinson in Minnesota coming from Iowa. Defensive line, San Francisco, I definitely give a solid advantage there, but Detroit has Aiden Hutchinson. Linebackers, that's the only area I'd say that the Niners are way better because they have Warner and because they have Greenlaw, who was great against the Green Bay the other night. But that's because of those are the two best linebackers of football. They're better than everybody, including Detroit. Secondary, Niners are better, not by much. The secondary gets covered a lot for because of the front seven. So I'm just saying, like, if we're, by the way, kicker, I trust Detroit's kicker more than San Francisco's rookie kicker. So we talk about this situational football. We talk about roster comparisons. Niners are better than Detroit, but it's not by much. I mean, I tweeted this because I never, ever tweet about lines. Like, I leave that to the sharps, to the gambling experts, to the betting guys and gals out there. But when I saw San Francisco -7, I'm like, oh my God, I'm all over Detroit in the points. I mean, listen, I don't bet, as the old segment goes on my show. It's called
Betting Man.
If I Were a Betting Man. I am going to Vegas right now. I am not waiting for that line to drop. I am taking Detroit plus the points. Don't know if they're going to win the game, but I'm absolutely taking the Lions and the 7 points. Shout out to the city of Detroit, man. For the longtime fans who have suffered through so much of just incompetent football. Folks, they had an 0-16 season in 08. 0-16. And here they are 15 years later with the second best team in the NFC and a win away, 1 win away from Super Bowl 58. Don't know if they're going to win against San Francisco. Haven't made my pick yet. But for Dan Campbell, doubted. Jared Goff, doubted. And to be able to hit on all these draft picks like the way that Brad Holmes has. Those 3 guys. But I would say with Holmes getting the majority of the credit, Holmes being at the top of the list. Job well done. This is why I saw the Detroit Lions all the way back in April, 9 months ago. I literally said on the show, I played the clip there. If the Lions ace the 2023 draft, they'll be in the NFC Championship game. They aced the draft just like they did in 2022, just like they did in 2021. And here they are in the NFC title game, 1 win away from the Super Bowl. I have stuck with this pick all season long. Even when it got a little dicey, they lost to Chicago. Green Bay blew them out. They had the controversial loss to Dallas. Everybody bailed on Detroit. Oh, they're kind of a cute team. They score a lot of points, but oh, no. They can score a lot of points in you, but they can get nasty. They can play nasty football if necessary with their front seven. Man, how about those Detroit Lions, man? Not even a Lions fan, but I am freaking thrilled. Of course, for my pick, but for that city, man. They've been through a lot with Detroit, and they're a couple wins away, as Dan Campbell said after the game. He's talking to his team. He said, we're 2 wins away. And he said, with the bye in the middle, 2 wins. The Lions are Super Bowl champions, down to our final 4. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.